Thank you guys for coming out. We are the founders of Yapper. My name is Justin Lichtenstadter, and these are my partners, Rob Wine and Dane Hinnon. And we met when we started our global MBA program in the fall of 2012, and we immediately bonded over a common problem. You see, when we moved to a new city to start class, it was really challenging to find out what our other classmates were doing on a nightly and daily basis. Where were they going to happy hour? Where were they just grabbing coffee to catch up on their studies? Because the way social media is constructed right now, it makes it so easy for me to figure out what my friends from the University of Miami are doing this evening, or even what my friends that I live with in Tel Aviv are doing tonight. Yet I can't figure out what someone who's 3 doors down from me in my dorm room is doing on that very evening. And inevitably, once we graduate, a lot of us will get relocated for our jobs, and it starts that process over again, where now you need to figure out where young professionals are living, where I can go watch a Giants game on a Sunday with other Giants fans, and sorry, I know we're in Washington, but, and eventually, you might even have to go to Shanghai on a business trip, and now you're even more unfamiliar, and you don't even know the language. And finally, once you do live in a city for 2 years like us, and we think we're experts in everything DC, inevitably you'll be walking home one day, and you'll be 3 blocks from your house, and you'll see a bar that's packed to the brim, young professionals having a good time, great music, and you just think to yourself, how did I not know that this place existed? And what is going on right now that no one told me about? It's the ultimate case of FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So we've come up with Yapper. What is Yapper? It's a hyper-local messaging app that lets you communicate with people nearby through disappearing messages. See, think about the last time you were in an elevator with a stranger. Did you say hi, or did you just whip out your phone and stare at it awkwardly for 12 seconds? See, our generation, messaging is a gateway to real-world interaction. So we've created this hyper-local messaging app to give you the most authentic, relevant conversations you can possibly have with people nearby. And we've combined that with ephemeral messaging, making Yapper the closest thing to human interaction that you can possibly have through an application. Because when you have a conversation with someone, the only thing that matters is they have to be within proximity of you, and all that's left is the memories of what was said. No one's sitting there transcribing everything that was said. There's no digital footprint that's left behind. So we know that there's a market for something like Yapper, but we're going to prove it to you through behavioral patterns that 2 other companies have developed. The first one is Yelp. Yelp has 53 million real word-of-mouth reviews, proving that people want information about places nearby sourced by other people. And Twitter. Twitter has 100 million daily active users, proving that people want instantaneous, up-to-the-second information, also sourced by other people. So we're concluding that people want spontaneous information about what's going on nearby. Now, this presents us with a huge market opportunity for Yapper. Last year alone, there was $1.2 billion in revenue in real-time mobile location-based ads. And while all of that revenue was not done in the messaging space, messaging apps were the fastest growing segment in the App Store last year, growing at 203%. And messaging apps also did $1.5 billion in revenue themselves. Everyone knows about WhatsApp, $19 billion from Facebook. And finally, the third component is this new market opportunity of ephemeral advertising, which is short-lived, which Snapchat has just started to get into. And that presents us with an opportunity to offer advertisements to people nearby that are within consumption distance and say, hey, we know you're 5 blocks away. You have 1 hour to take us up on this deal. So now that you understand the problems that Yapper is solving and the market opportunity for something like Yapper, Rob's going to show you how the product actually works.
Thanks, Justin. So I'm Rob, and I'm responsible for the product design. So this is the really exciting part for me. We want to run you through a live demo to show you exactly how Yapper works. Justin's going to click on the icon in the top right, and the first thing that we do is find your location. The next screen that comes up is going to be our main feed, so you don't have to search for your location anymore. You know that any conversation that shows up on Yapper was started within walking distance of you. I'll ask Justin to create a Yap so you can figure out how to start conversations and then communicate with other people nearby on Yapper. We're all here in Duquesne for the business plan competition. So he'll type in business plan competition, go Yapper. And as soon as he sends that out, he's going to send a push notification to anyone who's downloaded our free mobile app and is within that circle on the map. So once he presses send, you'll see that it'll actually take you right into the chat.
I can't spell.
And and essentially what's happening now is instead of how traditional messaging apps work, where they connect you with other devices based on a cell phone number or being friends on a social network, we're actually connecting people through just based on the fact that they're in the same room. So my phone has no knowledge of Josh P's number. My phone doesn't know we're friends on Facebook, but just because of the fact that we're in the same room, we're now able to communicate. It's really powerful technology. And remember that next time you're at a business conference, at a sporting event, at a trade show. The other thing that I want to mention is that we're a Facebook login. And so the pictures that you see and the names weren't typed in by the users when they downloaded the app. That was actually pulled from a reliable source to ensure that you're talking to a real person. And last, this conversation is going to delete after the app deems it irrelevant, because honestly, the business plan competition conversation isn't going to matter tomorrow or next week. So if you back out, you can see that there's two other buckets of conversations. There's going to be promoted yaps, and there's going to be private yaps. Promoted yaps I'm going to talk about a little bit later on in the presentation. But the interesting thing to note is that we have two real-world companies that are already advertising on Yapper. And with private yaps, if you want to have a private and secure conversation with your friends, you can do it through our private functionality. And so with that, you see a little bit about how Yapper works. And so we're going to go into the competition and talk to you about, if you want to click, it's connecting right now. So we're going to talk to you about the competition and how we differentiate ourselves. There are other messaging apps like WhatsApp that will connect you to anyone you've ever met on a global level. There's also other companies that are focused on a hyper-local level. So Yelp is a great example. If I go to Yelp's website, I can see a review for a location nearby, but that review will live throughout the history of that website. We're trying to fit this void for relevant, real-time, and spontaneous information that's happening around you. And so what's our business model? Our business model is two-phase. The first phase, we're going to focus on promoted yaps. I mentioned that we have two real-world businesses that are already advertising on our app. We've talked to the manager at McFadden's, which is a bar here in Foggy Bottom. She's really excited about the platform that we're developing, because what she can do right now is she sends out spontaneous happy hours to her target customers that are sent through Facebook groups, sent through listservs, and sent through text messages. And we've talked to her, that's really resource intensive, and it's actually really expensive for her to do. And so with Yapper, she'll be able to send out those spontaneous happy hour deals to her target customer who she knows is within walking distance of that establishment. Eventually, we'd like to build out based on our core competencies, which is we know what people are talking about and where they're having those conversations. So if we start building out our backend, we can start generating interest graphs of our users based on their behavior tactics on Yapper, their accurate and reliable location, and tie that in with their Facebook ID. And that's a really impressive mixture of data. If we build that out a little bit further, we can start categorizing conversations. And now in just a few steps, and without reading any messages on Yapper at all, we can target advertisements based on our first-party data. Essentially, what that means is that we can go to McFadden's and we can say that we can identify the social leader in a group of friends. We know when that person is talking to their friends about going out. We know where they're trying to go out. And to take that one step further, we can actually reach out to those people in real time when they're making those decisions. That's really powerful technology. And we feel that if we scale that to new markets or if we translate that to new industries, it could be game-changing. So with that, I want to toss it over to Dane, and he's going to talk a little bit about the team.
Thanks, guys. So who's the Yapper team? First of all, I'm Dane from Yapper, Dane Hinnon. I'm in charge of operations. I also do our finance, our numbers, our analytics. I make sure our projects are cost-friendly and feasible. As you can tell from Rob, who did the demo, he's our product guy. He does our design, our graphics. He's our visionary, our creative. He and Justin combined have more apps than probably all of you in this room. Justin's our face. You saw he kicked it off. He's our leader, our CEO. He drives our day-to-day strategy. He's also in charge of sales, partnerships, and relationships with investors. And finally, Anthony Agby is in the crowd here today. He's our mobile developer. He's the one who brought all this to life. He also handles our back-end server, which we're using right now as Parse, which was just purchased by Facebook, so that helps with the integration. So where have we been and what have we done to date? So in the last year, we've done a lot of research. We are an LLC. We're an official company. We've done a lot of test apps. But most importantly, we got an MVP out there. That's a minimal viable product. That's the product Rob showed you that's in the App Store. Right now, we have 1,500 testers on it. Testers specifically to this location, GW, Foggy Bottom, downtown DC. Most of them are students, and most of them are active on a weekly to monthly basis as well. So the reason we did that was before rolling this out nationally, we wanted to get feedback, right? We wanted to know what our customers wanted. They came back to us in interviews. Also, we watched the engagement on the app, and they said, we want a forum that exists that has categories where people are already talking about stuff. It could be sports, it could be education, it could be nightlife, whatever that is. So that's why we're going to do promoted yaps. You can see some examples there. We're going to do a redesign, make it look a little bit more techy, make it more interactive. That's the new user interface and user experience you see there. People love when they get gratification from their posts, if it's funny, if it's creative, if it's helpful. We're going to do an upvoting system, so the best chats are upvoted. Finally, we want to make it unique to each user, so custom notifications, categories, filtering, and searching. So what's next for Yapper? We want to grow. Everyone wants to grow. We want to grow specifically because we know our industry, right? We're not selling toothpaste here. We're creating an app. We need users out there. So we're actually going to wait on implementing our revenue model for a year. We're going to spend most of our time, energy, and costs on growing the user base. That way, in a year, we come back to these businesses. Instead of targeting 100 people, they're targeting 1,000. Also, nobody wants to download an app on day one and have a bunch of ads in it, right? You want to enjoy the experience for a year or so. Then when you get an ad on it, it's beneficial and specific to you. So this is kind of our break even here. As you can see, it's around 20 months to 2 years. So how do we grow? It's a lot about marketing. It's a lot about partnering. First, we want to hit campus reps at every university in an urban city because it's got to be close proximity. We also want to go after young professionals and interns, people moving to new cities. Like Justin said, it's very important to get them comfortable in their new city. We also have great media partners. We have articles in the Capitol, which is a big media firm in DC, as well as Tech Cocktail, who voted us DC's hottest showcasing startup after our launch of our beta version. So very exciting stuff there. They have presence in New York, South by Southwest, Vegas Week, types of events that we can get mass exposure. Finally, we want to go after the Android market. We know we're missing out on 50 to 60%, so we do want to develop an Android version of our product and replicate these strategies in places like Boston, New York, Philly, Miami, and we even have a partner program with a pilot in Costa Rica. So as you can see, this would be our first year operating expenses, but really what we want to talk about is how passionate we are about this. This is our full-time job. The three of us have bootstrapped this to date with $30K of our own money. We've worked 10,000 hours. We've been doing this full-time since last August. And really, the business plan, we know Anthony needs some help. So the winnings specifically would go to helping him develop the product that we know can grow at a national level and go viral. So I'll pass it on to Justin to kind of close us off.
Thanks. So now you guys have a better picture as why Yapper is poised to be the app that no matter where you are in the world, you want to open it up to find out what's going on around you in real time. And we are the team that's going to make this happen because we understand the trends in the industry, the developing technologies, and have the wherewithal to implement anything to make sure that Yapper is the app that changes the way you communicate with your surroundings. So with that, I want to thank you very much. Before we go to questions, make sure you tweet us out at #GWYapper, at GW Business Plan. Get that fan vote. Now we'll take questions.
Can Facebook create a similar app if you're successful?
Yes, they can. So there's nothing proprietary about what we're doing right now. It's all about execution. Facebook does what they do well. There's no reason for them to switch markets to do this at this moment in time.
What is the average revenue you expect from a client that'll pay you for it, and how many do you need? When do you reach your break-even point in dollars?
Yes, that's what I want to talk.
Yeah, so the break-even point we're forecasting is about 2 years out from now. Really, on average, we'd be charging $20 for a spontaneous ad for these businesses to send. We're kind of trying to tackle 10 neighborhoods per city and then about 2 ads per day in those cities. So it's not really about the amount of partners, it's about the amount of ads. And like I said, we don't want to get too spammy, so we want to limit it in the beginning and kind of grow. The $20 seems like a lot, but we want to sign clients who do reoccurring ads. So it could be a monthly membership, it could be 1 ad per 1 day, it could be 4 ads over a weekend for a festival or something like that. So that's how we came up with the $20 per ad.
Yeah.
And that's the appendix slide here.
Yeah.
Have you done some market research or focus groups on your pricing strategy? I mean, that's my first question. And my second one was, I believe you mentioned about some of the other social media that if you put something in it stays on forever. Maybe I missed it, and I apologize if I did, but what, do yours drop off after, what, 30 days or something?
No, so the conversation that we created right now everything will disappear after 30 minutes of inactivity. So once people are no longer participating in the conversation, everything disappears. So, and then the first part?
Well, the first part was talking about your pricing strategy. If you go back, A, how did you arrive at it? And B, have you done any focus groups and all that to see if it's relevant and see if people and companies are willing to pay this?
So we've went to several bars in the area, and yes, I mean, yeah, right.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
The reason why it's important is because we have a couple hundred users in Foggy Bottom already, and a student is interested in knowing what the happy hour special is next door, right? But we've built the system so that we're only listing 2 companies at a time to build competition. So if a company knows that there's a couple hundred users that are using the app, and if they subscribe to those promoted yaps, they can send push notifications to these users. It's incredibly valuable. So as more companies realize the value in this, and since there's only 2 companies that will be able to promote their advertisements per neighborhood, there's going to be competition that's going to build up. Again, going back to the McFadden's example, I think that it's really powerful to note that they're trying to do this already with text messages, but that they build a list of students that may be studying abroad or may graduate and move away. So they have to have an intern that scrubs that list, and now they have to actually pay for all of those text messages. So this would sort of sidestep what they're already doing and provide a more valuable platform for them.
Could you talk a little bit about the sales strategy, how you expect to build not only from the revenue generating side, but just getting the users to sign up for the app?
Yeah, so the one thing we've done here on campus that we believe is a replicable model is literally guerrilla marketing on campus, going to student organizations, fraternities, sororities, campus groups, what have you. And we have already we're about to bring on some campus reps at University of Maryland. We've done some speaking at DC Tech events. So we've had a $0 marketing budget, and with that budget, we got 1,500 users on our test app. So it is something, I think that proves at least a little bit that it's something that people want, they're interested in the concept, they're just waiting for the perfect execution.
The ephemeral nature of this is interesting, but I'm still trying to figure out the value and for whom. So talk a little bit more about why it's Snapchat-esque, why you think it's important for the student or the young professional, and why it's important for the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, it's all about relevance. I know whenever we say ephemeral, everyone wants to go to Snapchat, which is great. It's all about spontaneous, short-lived. You can do whatever you want, and that is important. But for us, it's about creating a relevant experience. Like if we have a conversation about what's going on in this room today, we can talk about it. People can say which companies they liked, what they didn't like. Tomorrow, for all we know, there's going to be an entire different event here, and the conversation changes based on location. Some of our competitors have a constant feed of information that's based out of a location. So if no one writes something for 4 days, it'll say snowball fight in DuPont when I get to DuPont, and that was 3 months ago. So it's about creating a relevant conversation.
We want people to say what they feel comfortable saying, and a lot of people don't do that on social media anymore.
Yes.
Monitoring or abuse of the system.
Yeah, so we are a Facebook login, which allows you to see who's saying what. We also have a report user system where if someone says something, you can just press on their profile and they will be reported, and it's 3 strikes and you're out. 2 seconds left. Anything else? Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. Good job. Thank you.